Hello, welcome to my channel. Today we're looking into the disappearance of Michaelle Marie Champagne. And it says she was 29 years old, 5'8", 120 pounds. Now it says she's missing from Spokane, Washington, but her and her boyfriend arrived in Washington, D.C. after flying to meet her family, and I guess they were driving because when he got back to Spokane, he had a cracked windshield. So I'm not sure if they flew from Washington, D.C. because they stayed in Washington, D.C. for a while, or why he had a cracked windshield. So, and so there's some, you can pause it and read the different things if you want to. I'm going to open up some different places. She had brown curly hair and blue eyes, but it sounds very suspicious to me. And here's a much better photo of her. So I don't know if they drove across the country, if flew across the country, and here's a newspaper article. And like I said, you can pause this and read it, and I will scroll back up again. So, and I don't know if I'm going to read it all, but it says she never went long without checking in with her family. So she stayed in touch with her family, and she called her parents during a visit to Washington, D.C. March 9th, 1993, and that was it. They never heard from her again. So, and they believe that she was murdered, and they're trying to find DNA to link her case to what would have happened to her. And so, and like I said, you can pause this and read it. I don't want to read it all, but it talks about her ex-husband and where her ex-husband was stationed, and they had gotten a divorce in 1992. And then she went missing in 1993. Her family in Belgium did not return calls seeking comment. Okay. But her ex-husband said she was independent. She liked to keep busy. She always had a couple of jobs. He said she was a skilled, tough soccer player. Like I said, you can pause this and read it. And it says different things. So, said she liked to cook. She worked as a chef with waitressing jobs on the side. She didn't use drugs. She seldomly drank, but she was adventurous, blue-eyed Belgium. And she did have a wild side. He said she did like motorcycles and she liked to ride. The last time the two spoke, she had started dating another man and told her ex-husband she was having a large sum of money sent to her Brussels bank account, despite having been granted $60,000 in their divorce. Carlos said it struck him as odd, but he didn't press her for the details. She had called her dad and got some money from it sent back to her to pay off some debt. She didn't say who it was to, so she was reported missing September 1993 by another man, her former live-in boyfriend. But I think they might have been dating at the time that she went missing, who told police they had broke up about 6 months earlier. It's 6 months: March, April, May, June, July, August, September. So that's when she went missing, is when he says they broke up. And he hadn't seen him since they split up. Yeah. So, and they're not naming the boyfriend, who was never arrested or charged with a crime, but it sounds very suspicious. Her and her boyfriend spent a month and a half in Brussels visiting her parents. Then they flew back to the United States through Washington, D.C., where they called her parents and said they arrived safely. She told her parents they were going to stay in D.C. a couple of nights and see the sights. And that was it. Nobody ever heard from her again. So the months passed, and this is when he's saying they broke up. And he's insisting he didn't know where she was, and he didn't want to file a missing persons report. So he didn't file the missing persons report until September. He was reluctant to file it. And then he said they had broken up March 17th, but they had gotten there March 9th. So within 8 days of them getting to Washington, D.C., he said they broke up. So I'm guessing, I don't want to assume anything, but So, and then it says his behavior in the months before filing the missing persons report, they say his behavior was curious according to Burbridge. He twice tried to use her credit cards. He sold her expensive Belgium oak furniture out of storage that August, so he wasn't afraid of getting caught. To me, it sounds like he's acting like she's dead and she's not alive and there's nothing she's going to do to him. He sold the Volvo that the two of them owned together. And and then he had somebody else pretend to be her when he sold it. And he was using the furniture, and the use of her credit cards made it seem very suspicious, right? So when he put the Volvo up for sale, he had a woman pretend to be her from Coeur d'Alene. And so he wasn't worried about selling it and getting caught and splitting the money with her. So it sounds like he knew she was dead. So that's really sad. And so they want the woman that pretended to be her to come forward because they think she might have information that he might have told her. So, and the woman was about 5'2", and they said Michelle was actually 5'8". So the detectives who investigate initially learned that the boyfriend had checked into his Spokane motel room upon returning from D.C. on March 12th. He was alone. And the first phone calls he made from the motel were to an auto parts store and a windshield repair shop. So something happened to the windshield of the vehicle, and for some reason he needed the the vehicle was in need of repair. So I don't know if something happened and they got into an argument or something in the vehicle, and that's why the windshield was broken. I don't know if it was broken from the inside or the outside or what happened. I don't know. I can't even imagine. You know, I feel like, what if he did something? What if he was strangling her to death and she was kicking the windshield trying to get loose? I don't know what happened, or if he was on the outside of the car trying to get in. I don't know what happened. But he's refused to take a polygraph. He doesn't believe in that kind of magic, he said. So he was afraid. Well, I shouldn't say he was afraid, but for some reason he refused to take a polygraph. So they're not getting any information from him and trying to find out where she is in the polygraph. They could probably find out that kind of information. And he's maintaining he has nothing to do with her disappearance. But over the years, maybe he told somebody something. Maybe he was drinking and he told somebody something, and maybe they didn't know if it was true. And they really need somebody to come forward and to give them this information. And maybe you did give it to somebody in the past, but it's a different investigator, and you don't know if they have the information that you gave them, and you want to come forward and give it to them now. Let them have that information. Let them know. But it's not saying his name. So maybe if you know what happened, you could come forward and let him know, because her life should mean something and should have value. And like I said, you can pause this and read it if you want to. But they need somebody to come forward with information. Because, you know, if he was driving, and then when I saw her photo, it reminded me of this person, even though it said this person died 1997 to 1999, and her date of death was 1993. So this one was a suspected homicide. They found in a refrigerator, and like I said, you can pause it and read the other information that was there. She was tall, but they found her in a refrigerator, and it was a homicide. So if you know who this might be, you should also contact authorities and let them know who it is. And so I don't know where she could have been or where her remains could be. So I'm trying to look at the different Jane Does. There's this one in Canada in Kamloops, and like I said, you can pause this one and read it as well. If you know any information about any of these cases, you should contact authorities. But I don't know. And then there was this one, and it says suicide, but I don't know. And this wasn't till 1994. But then, and she's 5'6", and I don't know if she looks similar or not. But maybe you know who this is, and you could contact the authorities and let them know. But it seems like maybe something probably happened to her in March. This one was in Las Vegas, and they died 1 to 2 years before, and they could have been anywhere from 5 foot to 5'8", and they had brown hair. Let's compare her photo to this one to see if we think it's shaped similar. So, you know, and there's a description of what they were wearing and what happened. It said 2 men on dirt bikes found this person's remains. And then we have this one, and this one's all the way in Florida, but they were killed in March of 1993, and they were strangled to death, and then somebody burned the remains to try to cover up the homicide. So, and it says they were only 5'4" to 5'6", but with the March, I thought I would leave it in there. Because I don't, oh, and it said the dental work had been done, maybe it seemed like some of the dental work may have been done in South America, and I thought maybe she might have traveled. So I decided to leave this one, and even though somebody else was convicted of killing this person. And then we have this person right here, and I don't know, did they have their hair like that? Or do you think maybe the killer cut all their hair off? And I just thought the facial features kind of looked similar. And they died days before June 12th of 1993. So I don't know, it was Minnesota, and I thought, well, they were traveling. So if the murderer cut all their hair off, then they wouldn't know what their hair looked like, and maybe it would be hard to identify them, because it said they had spiked hair, but, you know, maybe the killer thought, oh, if I cut all their hair off, they won't know who it is. So I don't know if they had spiked hair or not. And Minnesota might have been, I don't know if that was one of the places they might have been traveling through or not. But didn't he get back in March when he rented the hotel room? Let's see. What happened in April when the boyfriend put the couple's vehicle up for sale in April? He said they broke up in March 17, but I don't know where I saw it. He flew back to D.C., called her parents. She told her parents. He sent the title, no matches. I don't know where it said something about him renting a hotel room. And I can't do a search to find it the way this is set up. 41, he hadn't talked to Champagne since they split up. I don't know when he rented the hotel room. But it was April when he put their Volvo up for sale. So she got money to pay off a debt. She wasn't reported missing till September. He only filed the missing report only at the request of her family. I bet they requested for him to do it over and over and over. They flew back to Washington, D.C., called her parents, never heard from again. Months passed, no contact. September, nearly 6 months after, he finally filed the missing persons report. He said they broke up March 17th. In the months before filing the report, they say he acted strange, Was using her credit card, selling her things. And I still don't see the part about the motel. April, Volvo up for sale, introduced a woman pretending to be her who was only 5'2". She was 5'8". Learned that the boyfriend checked into a motel on March 12th. So if he checked into a hotel on March 12th, then this is probably not going to be her, and this one is probably not going to be her. And then we have this one in Colorado a year prior, and they're only 5'2" to 5'4", but I wonder if, I hope he was honest about her height, but I'm sure they had it somewhere, so this one couldn't be her either. So I thought with the shape of the face maybe, but it doesn't really look like it could be. This one could be her. This one, even though I don't think that could be her either. And this one, I don't know. And this is, even though this one really, there's similar looks of the shape of her face. I'm going to leave that one in there. I don't know, it just reminded me of her. But I wonder if it wasn't this one. Even though they look very different. I don't know. So I do a NamUs search, and you go search in the NamUs, and it's like, okay, so I'm going to do female. She was, what, 29? So 29, she will be, I'll put 29 to 30. Estimated year of death was, it was March 9th, 1983. And I'm betting she died sometime between March 9th and a week later. And then it said she was 5'8". So 5'7" to 5'9". And she weighed what? 120 pounds. So 110 to 145. And we have two of them. And one is in New York and one is in Florida. '20 to 70 years old. The one in Florida is African American. I don't like that. So I'm going to reset it and try it again. So she's 5'9", 5'8", so 5'7" to 5'9", and she died in 1993. And she was 29. 11 if we don't put her sex in. Because if they don't know, they leave them as male. And I don't... Oh, because they were... Washington, D.C. is near Pennsylvania. And it's near New York. So let's see what we have here. Philadelphia, male, house buyer, passerbys with descent. States the house was clear the night before. All parts recovered. Okay. Let's see what that brings up. Queens, New York. "5'7", 125 pounds, 1993, found in August but estimated to be dead for weeks. Unknown female found in a barrel approximately 100 feet north of the boardwalk at Beach 40th Street and Rockaway Park. One or more limbs not recovered. Brown hair. Green hunter's run coat and with hood and purple and yellow liner, tan and orange. New York sort of size medium. So I don't know that that could be her. I don't know if I left the weight out, if it would help. So then we have 10 of them. I don't see her being in Florida. And there's the one in California. Alright, I'll leave the one in Kansas. Because I don't know, he could have traveled to move her body somewhere else. Elko, Nevada. Let's see what these say. Okay, so we have this one, Redondo Beach, California. So, 5'3" to 5'7", 1960 to 2000. Remains found in a plastic bag during a dig at a new home site in Redondo Beach. Bones to be greater than 5 years and potentially decades old. Age is estimated 20 to 50 years. One or both hands not recovered. Head not recovered. So, and then we have this one. Body found in 1999. Female, they're not sure of the race. 5'7". Skeletal remains in a wooded ravine in October and November of 1999, Kansas City, Kansas. They don't know how they were died. One or both hands not recovered. Women's shoe size 8.5 recovered with the remains. So that one could be her. Because, you know, if he would have traveled to hide her body, who knows. Houston, Texas. I don't know. Yeah. He could have I don't know if they went through Kansas or if he killed her or who would have hid her remains. And Texas, 18 to 30. The remains were found in 1998. 5'7". Remains found in a field. This one, Valencia, California, 26 to 38 years old, found in 1995. Estimated year of death, 1993 to 1995, 5'4" to 5'7". Body found off I-5, south of Magic Mountain Parkway, along Old Turney Road in Valencia, California. Brown hair. And then it gives what they were wearing. And this one, Elko, Nevada. I don't think that could be her. Body found 1993 in November. Descendant was found northbound side of Interstate 80 near Utah border. The site of the body found lies on the edge of a vast and desolate desert bisected by one of the nation's busiest highways. Victim was shot twice with a small caliber weapon and beaten. Blonde hair, so that couldn't be her because she didn't have blonde hair. So whoever this is, someone with blonde hair, so that's not her. Then we have this one found in 1993 in California, and 5'5" to 5'7", 1992 to 1993. And two men were walking up a creek bed off of Pine Flat Road and discovered the deceased due to advanced decomposition. They were not able to identify who it was. And her hair was 1 inch in length with some gray. So I don't know if they had a short haircut. Like I said, you know, you don't know if somebody kills somebody if they're going to cut their hair off and take their hair. This one is African American, found in New York. So that's not going to be her either. So anyway, if you have any information to help them solve this case to find their loved one, please contact authorities and give them that information. Even if you've given it to them before, years ago, and you're not sure if they still have the notes of the information, or maybe you're not sure if it got passed along to the right person, you can probably email them somehow and CC a couple people to make sure they have the information in emails. That way it's held on to, and you can make sure that they have it, because sometimes, you know, there's miscommunications in every job, or lack of communication in every job. So sometimes information doesn't get carried forward. And if you know anything, whether you feel like it's hearsay or something somebody told you when you were sitting around drinking, or you heard it through a relative or a friend, give them the information anyway, because it might help solve the case. And don't forget to pray for her loved ones and her family that doesn't know what happened to her. And thank you so much for tuning in. Have a great day. Bye-bye.